Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Lakers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The starting center Lakers must acquire after Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle shaming. Following the Los Angeles Lakers' early playoff exit by the Minnesota Timberwolves, the overwhelming consensus was they needed major help in the front court. Julius Randle had his way with the Lakers' defense, and then Rudy Gobert put the exclamation point with a 27-point, 24-rebound performance in the closeout Game 5. To acquire a starting center, the Lakers are most likely going to need to make a trade. Jackson Hayes, who had been the Lakers' starting center following the Anthony Davis trade, saw his role diminished in the playoffs, leading to his eventual benching in Game 5. During a media availability session after the Lakers were eliminated, General Manager Rob Pelinka acknowledged the team's need for a starting caliber center. The Lakers thought they had one in Mark Williams, but the trade with the Hornets was rescinded after concerns arose about Williams' health. With Luka Doncic in the fold, Williams would have been the perfect complement as a rim-running lob threat. The free agent market is scarce for what the Lakers need, but they don't have much anyways in terms of available cap space to make a major splash in free agency. That's why a trade is the best available means for the Lakers to acquire a starting center, and by some stroke of luck, that could come from a familiar face. Perhaps the only thing that would have redeemed Nico Harrison in the eyes of Dallas Mavericks fans, short of reacquiring Luka Doncic somehow, was to land the #1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Beating the lottery odds, the Mavericks will get the chance to select Duke star Cooper Flagg as the franchise's next star. Now, how does this affect the Lakers, you ask? Well, it creates a bit of a logjam in the front court for the Mavericks. Flagg can play both forward positions and is going to need playing time from the get-go. Anthony Davis will be back and will be healthy with a full training camp under his belt. And then the Mavericks have two starting caliber centers in Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively too. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Here, a new report from Jerry Wolfel talking about Brook Lopez said an NBA executive believes Brook Lopez will have a pretty strong market in free agency. There'll be plenty of interest in him, the exec said. I'm sure the Lakers have already talked to him. Now, on Wolfel's tweet, he added the word cynically. The NBA exec said cynically, I'm sure the Lakers have already talked to him. So why is that cynically? Well, because you're not supposed to be talking to other teams' free agents right now per NBA rules. So he's kind of taking a little dig at the Lakers, saying, hey, the Lakers aren't exactly playing by the rules right now. Technically, Brook Lopez has a $23 million contract right now with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's under contract with another team, which means the Lakers or any other team cannot have those kind of conversations with him. But you know what? Like, let's be adults. Let's just tell the truth, right? If you are not talking to free agents right now, if you're not getting ahead of the game, well, then you're falling behind. Because let's face it, everybody is. It's the way that it goes. The NBA just doesn't want you to make it, outright and very obvious what you're doing. But there's no question teams are having these kinds of conversations beforehand, whether it's through back channels or whatever. But bottom line, should the Lakers actually be interested in Brook Lopez, as this NBA exec believes that they are and will be? Well, I mean, yes and no. Like the Lakers, they very clearly need a center, right? We know that. And Brook Lopez, a.k.a. Splash Mountain, brings a real skill set. I talked yesterday about Kristaps Porzingis and how he would make sense and also why he wouldn't make sense as a target for the Lakers. Why go after a Kristaps Porzingis trade where you have to give up Rui Hachimura if you could sign Brook Lopez for maybe that taxpayer MLE of $5.1 million? Now, maybe he won't be available for that, but I would imagine that's probably going to be his price range. He sure as hell isn't getting the $23 million that he's getting right now, but he is still a legitimate three-point shooting big, 37% from deep on the season, can be a rim protector, can block shots. You are a bit relegated to just playing drop coverage defensively because he's not very quick-footed, but can protect the rim. Unfortunately, he's not where he used to be as a rim protector. In fact, last season and this season, it's been a noticeable drop-off from where he was in terms of how he affects field goal percentage at the rim compared to, say, 3 years ago. But again, he's 37 years old. So I think he could be an interesting stopgap option for the Lakers, right? And that's where we're kind of categorizing the Lakers' potential targets in two ways, two areas, where you've got the older guys who could be a center that could fill in and start right now, but are not long-term fits for the Lakers. And those are primarily free agents. We're talking about guys like Brook Lopez. We're talking about Clint Capella, maybe a Steven Adams, some of these older players, Al Horford, assuming that the Boston Celtics aren't going to have money to bring him back. Can Brook Lopez come in and for a season be your starting center, do a good job spacing the floor, block some shots, and in the meantime, you're finding your long-term fit? Sure, I think he can do that. I think he can be a stopgap. Is he your solution long-term? No, of course not. Not at 37 years old. So I think the way the market develops will be really important here for Brook Lopez and for the Lakers. If they find the right option, that's the long-term fit, that's probably going to have to come via trade. If you're going to find the long-term, we want this dude to be the center with Luka for the next 5 years, that type of player, you're probably going to have to do it on the trade front. Otherwise, if you don't find the right deal out there, a guy like Brook Lopez could make a lot of sense in addition to, Clint Capella or some of these other guys as a fallback, as a stopgap, as somebody that can be your center starting for at least a season. So should the Lakers have interest in Brook Lopez? Yes, as a safety net. That's really what he would be. If the right deal is not there, everyone knows right now, the Lakers must get a 5. They have to get a center, and I personally think they need to get multiple centers. And that may create a difficult market to deal in where teams are trying to drive a hard bargain. So if you're the Lakers, you need to have these fallback options. Again, the Clint Capellas of the world, the Brook Lopez's of the world. You need these kinds of guys. So if a team is trying to drive a hard bargain, you can say, you know what? Screw it. We're not doing that deal. We're not overpaying for this guy. Instead, we're going to roll with Brook Lopez. We're going into the season. Maybe we'll find somebody by the trade deadline. Maybe it's next summer. We'll find the long-term solution next to Luka at another date if the right option simply isn't on the table right now. Now, the downside of that is you probably don't want to go to that August 2nd free agency signing or extension signing period that Luka Doncic has, where he can officially sign a deal with the Lakers and say, hey, look, the long-term center we got for you is Brook Lopez. But what you can do is say, hey, we got this guy for now, and we're going to continue looking. The Mark Williams thing didn't work out. We've got Brook Lopez for right now, or we've got Clint Capella or whoever for right now. We've got a center in there, and then we're going to proceed from there, and we're going to go find somebody else when the right deal comes along. So I do think it's important that the Lakers have options like Lopez out there on the market, but by no means is that the number one option. Their preference would be to find the long-term, bouncy, rim-running lob threat that Luka wants to play with for the next however many years. Now, the market is also expanding a bit here, and that's because now, suddenly, Jake Fisher threw this out there, and I was surprised to see this. One roster rumble that has emerged in the desert. Sources say that Phoenix, whether or not Durant is ultimately dealt before training camp, will be prioritizing the addition of a starting level center this offseason. The Suns want a further upgrade on the move they made during the season to deal away Yusuf Nurkic and replace him with Nick Richards via Charlotte. Remember, the Lakers were one of the teams that were in on Nick Richards. So the Suns went out there and got Nick Richards. They got the deal done. I know a lot of Lakers fans were frustrated when the Lakers didn't get Nick Richards. We didn't know at the time, I believe, that the Luka trade was coming. But nonetheless, the Suns go out there and get Nick Richards. And now they want another center. They want somebody else. And good on them, right? You should have multiple bigs, especially with the way today's NBA is going. You need multiple bigs. But the Phoenix Suns now a potential landing spot. So when we talk about these guys that are fallbacks for the Lakers, again, Clint Capella and Steven Adams and all these types of players, in addition to every other center that could be out there on the market, whether it's the trade market or the free agent market, and you look around at how many teams need centers, you feel kind of good if you're the Lakers, because you say, you know what? There's not a lot of teams that need centers right now. There's not a lot of landing spots for these guys, and the Lakers are probably the dream landing spot, the ideal landing spot, because you can step right into a starting role. Well, I'm not saying the Phoenix Suns offer a more attractive landing spot than the Lakers do, but the fact that they're out there as another option is just not ideal from the Lakers' perspective. If you're trying to get the best deal that you can and have the most optionality that you can at the center position, you don't want to see other teams popping up as landing spots for fives around the NBA, particularly one like Phoenix, where you thought, okay, that box is checked. They've got their guy. They've got Nick Richards. That's their center moving forward. They're going to go get a backup. No, now they want to make Nick Richards their backup and go find a starting caliber center. So maybe a little bit of a surprise there that Phoenix pops up as another landing spot on the center market and somebody that the Lakers are now going to have to compete with in order to get whatever centers they're going to go after. Again, whether it's via trade or via free agency. But Lakers Nation, give me your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about Brook Lopez as a potential target for the Lakers? Again, not as a long-term fit, but how do you feel about him as maybe a one-season stopgap type in the event that the bouncy rim-running center that we know Luka wants is not available on the trade market? Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below, and any thoughts on Phoenix suddenly emerging as another landing spot on the market? Could that be problematic for LA? Thanks again, everybody. Make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel, and I will be live tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be talking some Lakers basketball, so hope to see you then. Till next time, everybody. See ya, and stay safe.
One of the bigger needs, but I also think that there's the potential to find a guy, particularly in this draft, late in the second round, that can have an immediate impact on this team and be a rotation piece, be a guy that can do multiple things out there. Where any center in the second round, they're all kind of project guys, right? Like a Rocco, who a lot of Laker fans want, right? He's a project guy. How many minutes is he going to get? How much opportunity is he going to get? Where I think you can find the right kind of 3-and-D wing that can come in and immediately play some quality minutes for the Lakers. And the Lakers need that size, that athleticism, that versatility out there badly, right? It's another need. And I'd rather the Lakers kind of go look to go get and acquire, a more ready now starting center as well as a backup, right? Even if it is a Clint Capella and like a Jericho Sims or something like that. That's just kind of my preference. And one of the guys that I think could make an immediate impact, makes a ton of sense for the Lakers, and can slot in anywhere really 2 through 4, but more so 2 and the 3. And I actually think would be great slotted alongside a Luka Doncic is the Duke University, which I'm a big Duke guy, Sion James. So Sion James is 6'6" in size, but he's 220 pounds, and he is strong, he is big, he is physical, he is an exceptional ball handler, and he has a great downhill speed, but he can also shoot the ball. He shot 50% on spot-up shooting, which, guess what? He'd be slotted alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James, right? Guess what he's getting? A ton of spot-up looks, right? He's going to be a guy that is going to just have to stand there, catch the ball, catch and shoot, right? And he shot 50% in those in college. Now, not necessarily expecting him to shoot 50% come, the NBA time, right? Because it's very different. But can he be, in the 40s? Right? Can he be, 43% on catch and shoot threes or spot up threes, right? Like that would be huge. And then his ability to defend multiple positions. He's athletic, he's physical, he's strong, he's got good size, good weight to him. He can kind of be a bit of a bowling ball type of guy that can just put his head down and get to the basket, finish through contact, right? He's a guy that I really like. He's 22 years old, which the Lakers have always liked, kind of the more seasoned college players, guys that are kind of up there in age compared to like the 18-year-old projects, right? I think a guy like him is a guy that can come in and make an immediate impact, but still be a piece and still be young enough for the future, right? He's a guy that I can see not getting played off the court defensively. He's that pit bull guy. He's going to get after it. He's going to work hard. He can be kind of that secondary playmaker on times. He's got decent vision. He's not a guy I'd want like running the point or anything like that, but he's a guy that can continue to be the swing man, which is very valuable. And then on top of that, be a guy that can, be a 3-and-D style guy and continue to show that growth and development. So I really like the idea of him. Yes, again, you could look at the center position and go like, if Rocco, let's say, does fall to the 55th pick, I do think the Lakers will probably take him just because his upside and his abilities are something that I think would be hard to pass up. But there are a lot of questions about Rocco and can he translate to the modern NBA? If this was 10, 15 years ago, he'd probably be a first round prospect, maybe even higher, like later or earlier in the first round. If this was kind of not today's NBA where you want guys with spacing. You know what you can't have an abundance of? 3-and-D wings. Right? You know what you can't have too many of? 6'6" to 6'9" guys that could just spread the floor and do multiple things out there. Right? Again, I really like the idea of bringing in a guy like a Sion that can come in and just, again, kind of immediately fill in a role. Right? Because Lakers are going to need cheap young, versatile players, right? They're probably going to trade for a Nick Claxton or a Daniel Gafford or one of these guys, right? They're probably going to make a move to go get a starting caliber center, right? They don't have a ton of cap space. They're looking at vet minimum guys, right? For the most part, yeah, they could free up they might have their full, tax, or they might have their taxpayer mid-level. They could free up their full mid-level exception, depending on what LeBron does. But realistically, you're probably looking at your mid-level or taxpayer mid-level exception. Right? So if Lakers have their taxpayer mid-level, like who are you going to get that's going to be that good and that impact? And even then, you're still going to need young, cheap prospects that can come in. There's already talks about a guy like Bronny James potentially earning rotation minutes if he continues to take the strides that we saw towards the back end of the season. Why? Because we need a guy like him badly. If he could be Gabe Vincent, but more athletic, perfect. The Lakers need that badly, right? Especially over an 82 game season. Now, come playoff time, is he a guy that is going to get the opportunity in the playoffs? I don't know, right? I think it depends on how good he is in the regular season. But again, a guy like Zion, I think kind of is in the same mold, right? A guy that gives you the size, slot in at the 2, slot in at the 3, can be that defensive guy. He's not going to get bullied and pushed around. He's strong, he's physical, good lower center of gravity, right? He's a guy that has a good first step and can kind of just bully his way to the basket, right? He's a guy that can kind of, put his head down, get to the basket, but also knock down, create a little bit for himself, create a little bit for others. Now, he's not a guy that I necessarily look at as like, oh, this guy could be a superstar or anything like that, but you never know. Like, I don't ever want to put a cap on these young guys. 22 years old, he's not so old that it's like, oh man, like, what are the Lakers thinking, right? He's not, 27, right? So there's still plenty of room for growth, development. Spend the next 5 years and he's just kind of like, the ninth guy off the bench in an 82 game season. And then by year 3, he's actually in the starting unit or coming off the bench. And you got to think, he's going to have guys like LeBron James that he's going to be able to learn and build off of. He's going to have guys even like Dorian Finney-Smith, who is greatly impactful, right? And does the hustle plays and does the dirty work. And it has a similar comp. Right? Like they do have a lot of similarities as far as like just the strength and the size, right? Dorian Finney-Smith was one of the only forwards to be to defend 5s this year, right? Like he was literally defending 1 through 5. Like I talk about it all the time. Get a guy that can defend 1 through 5. Dorian Finney-Smith literally was that. Like not just for the Lakers, for the Brooklyn Nets also. Right? So again, like a guy like Zion James could come in, learn from a LeBron James, learn from a Dorian Finney-Smith, learn even from a Jarred Vanderbilt, right? And these guys on just like being the hustle plays, doing the dirty work, being the high impact guy, finding ways to impact the game beyond just shooting the basketball, right? But he is a guy that has a good shot, that can knock down the 3 ball with consistency, particularly spot up, catch and shoot 3s, which guess what he's going to be getting all game? Spot up, catch and shoot 3s, right? Hey, you know exactly what you did in college? Yeah, we just need you to do that here, right? So to me, I look at it and I go like, he would be an ideal fit and scenario, right? Maybe I have a little bias because I'm a Duke guy, but I've also watched a lot of him play because I'm a Duke guy. So I kind of have a grasp on what I could see him translating to be. And he's a guy that I do think out of the second round, right? He's a guy that I really do think could be an impact guy immediately, right? A guy that is going to come in, know his role, accept his role. Again, kind of more seasoned college player coming from a pristine program like Duke. Lakers have had a lot of success with those guys. Even in the playoffs right now, look at all the former Lakers that they drafted in the second round and undrafted and all that stuff, right? And just like role guys, you look at Josh Hart, you look at Alex Caruso, right? Ivica Zubac, right? Julius Randle, who obviously, was a lottery pick, but still, he's a guy that, again, was a Laker. Like, you look throughout the league, even guys like Larry Nance Jr., right? Austin Reeves on the Lakers currently. Lakers have guys kind of scattered all over the league that have been really good, impactful role, rotation, starting level players for a lot of these other teams because the Lakers scouting department really just was able to hit on these guys. And I do think Zion is one of those guys that the Lakers could potentially be another hit on and be a rotation guy. Good rebounder at the guard position, a guy that has good size, right? Good athleticism, good versatility, right? He's not, the thing is one, it's his age, right? Because people are going to ask, okay, well, if he's that good, why is he a second round pick? One is because of his age. And 2, he's not like elite at anything specific, right? Which is why I don't think he's really going to be a star or a superstar. I think he'll be a legit 3-and-D wing in this league. I think he'll be a guy that you can put on and defend and hold his own against pretty much anybody, right? Knock down the three ball with some consistency and regularity, right? Now, as far as like the cons, right? Like he needs to learn to defend at an NBA level. It's easier in college because he is strong, he is physical, he is able to kind of, use his strength to kind of push these guys around and not get beat off dribble. Once you get to the pro level, right, where you got a lot of guys that are strong and physical and whatnot, especially come playoff time and stuff like that, right? Like he's a project. You're going to need to work with him, but he is a guy that I think isn't so much of a project he can't contribute right away. I think he's a project that can actually play a role right now and be an impact guy. Be a guy that can knock down the three ball on catch and shoots, can defend multiple positions, and again, has those strengths that you want. He's not particularly like, oh, he is so good at X, Y, and Z that I don't understand. Like, no, he would be a guy that is one of those. I mean, look at Dalton Connect because of his age. He was supposed to be a lottery pick. He was supposed to be taken when Zach Edey ended up taken. That's why, Zach Edey and Dalton Connect essentially switched draft slots, right? And Dalton Connect fell all the way to 17 to the Lakers, and he was supposed to be a lottery pick. Now imagine a guy in Zion that was the seventh guy at Duke, right? Like, of course he's going to fall to the second round, right? And so he's a guy that I'd really like to see. He has, again, his main outliers, right? Because like I said, he's not like a superstar at anything specific, but his main outliers are his strength in ball handling for a wing. He's got really good ball handling skills, right? He can handle the basketball, not turn it over, and make the occasional plays. He's a guy that I could see being, just a versatile defensive piece that can get you, a handful of assists a game, grab a handful of boards a game, and then, maybe I could see him maybe being like a 12-5-5 guy, right? At some point, not necessarily this season, but at some point, but just being able to defend multiple positions, right? Be a real starting level role player on a Lakers team. And that's all you need. Not everyone has to be a superstar, especially in the second round, right? He's a guy that I really do like the upside and potential. But as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Phil, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me?
Lakers land the perfect center to complement Luka Doncic in projected trade. The entire focus of the Los Angeles Lakers 2025 offseason is building a contender around Luka Doncic. If the Lakers follow the blueprint the Dallas Mavericks set, this means adding rim protection and lob threats. LeBron James and Jackson Hayes were Luka's best lob options down the stretch of the season. This is an obvious problem for an aging LeBron and a center who became unplayable in the playoffs. With this in mind, all options are on the table, including potential trades. Los Angeles has no shortage of potential contracts to move, with the biggest problem being finding a team willing to help the Lakers. The most attractive trade chips the Lakers could possibly offer are Rui Hachimura or Austin Reeves. While trading the offensive Reeves would be a mistake, the team could part ways with Rui in an effort to improve their defense and rebounding. After Cleveland's shocking playoff exit, it is very possible the team is looking for a change. With Evan Mobley capable of guarding the rim, the Cavs could consider trading Allen for the right price. Rui offers a great shooting team, yet another solid option who has had notable playoff moments. The deal makes sense for both sides if the Cavs are willing to put Mobley around the rim more often and part ways with Allen. For the Lakers, this is an easy trade to get behind that both protects the rim and adds an elite lob threat for Luka. Adding Allen and one more threat at the center position would be more than enough to have Laker fans buying back into this team's championship ceiling. It is easy to argue that the Lakers haven't seen the best version of Luka just yet. The veteran was obviously shell-shocked from the trade and needed time to learn a new offense. Not only this, but Austin Reeves and LeBron James were both demanding touches as well. This offseason is about figuring out how to get the best version of Luka and open the Los Angeles Lakers' championship window once again. Trading for Jarret Allen does just that while giving the Lakers one of the best starting five options in the league. If Cleveland considers the move, the Lakers shouldn't hesitate to get it done. And you, fan, what do you think about Jarret Allen's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.